Hey folks, Twisted Christian here. Today I want to do follow-up on Troy Black prophecy concerning September 28th and September 29th. So I got some things that I do want to talk about and go over some important things, some important news releases that happened on those two particular days. But before I get into that, I'd like to thank you guys for your support for my son-in-law, Joey Lovelace, who lost his life in an accident. And he ended up originally in a coma. And then eventually he woke up out of the coma. Everything was fine. And then the tube that was in his lungs, that they had in his lungs, somehow got clogged. And it basically killed his brain. So he had no oxygen to his brain for like 20 minutes. The family is devastated. So right now we're just trying to raise funds for the funeral cost and other associated costs with his death. So he does leave behind my grandson, Caden, who's 13 years old. So there's going to be a lot of changes within the family since Joey is no longer with us. And so I just thank you guys for your support, for those who have given, especially those on the Patreon and on the TC Watch group. I really appreciate it, guys. This is going to go a long way. So we're still a little bit short of our goal. So if you guys please give if you can, even if it's just $5 or $10. And if you can't give, please give a share. All right, so let's start off with Troy Black's prophecy. And he said, September 28th, September 29th, be the most important day in the history of the world. So whatever we discuss or talk about, one of the things that I'm looking at is, does it rise to the level of the most important day in history? So that's what we're going to look at as we go through. All right, so the first thing is, during those 2 days, I was looking for any scientific or archaeological discoveries, like major discoveries. We discussed the Ark of the Covenant. We discussed maybe there might be some other biblical artifact that is found that's significant. But we didn't see anything in the realm of archaeology. And the same goes for in the scientific community. Maybe something about energy, maybe something about the human body that was very significant. So maybe some kind of breakthrough. You know, maybe a paper could have been published and nobody caught on to it, right? But I didn't see any of those two specific things. And it might be very well that it could have been missed. And this is also could be something that it starts off, small, the news is released, and then it kind of escalates. Okay, so the next thing was, one of the things I was looking for is anything dealing with like the Maxwell case or Epstein. And there wasn't anything specifically released on those days concerning that. The jury selection for the Maxwell case, right, that deals with Epstein, actually starts on November the 15th. So I do expect, and this is with most criminal trials, a lot of times, especially ones that are in the media, a lot of times evidence will come out the month leading up to the jury trial. You're going to see probably information that the prosecutor is going to have to release. Now, the judge has already said that they have to basically unmask some of those people that were clients or whatever the case. So that's going to be very interesting when that actually takes place. Now, one of the other things that was happening during this time period, we saw hearings about Afghanistan. And it actually took place on the 28th and the 29th. Now, remember, Troy Black did say, watch those 2 days. But I didn't really see anything that maybe rose to that level. But it just maybe depends, because we already know what General Miley did. And to me, it's almost treasonous. So it all remains to be seen. I don't think we know everything, but maybe that's what we were supposed to watch. And of course, the mainstream media did what they did in order to cover up and try to explain away or cover for him and all of that. But if some other things came out too. And basically the generals put it off all on Biden about what happened in Afghanistan. And maybe it's something that was said. Maybe there was something that was said behind closed doors. Now, of course, during that time period, dealing with politics, dealing with the 3.5 trillion package, right? The fight between the Democrats and the Republicans. But one of the things that was very interesting about all of that was, even though they were able to come together and suspend the debt ceiling, there's so much infighting within the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is split itself. So that was something that actually came out those 2 days. Is it important? Yes. Is it important on a worldwide basis? Well, let's see where it leads down the road. We already know that this $3.5 trillion package is going to put the United States further into debt, higher inflation. And a lot of people don't understand that. People who support this bill don't really understand that what they are going to do is going to make a lot of things more expensive, and it's going to add a lot of debt. So that is something that that Democratic infighting on that was something that actually took place during those 2 days. And maybe it's a lot deeper than what we think. Now, of course, people talk about another subject, about the election results, what's going on in these different states. We didn't see anything on that. And I'm not going to talk anymore about it, just for the simple fact that, what they're doing to people's channels with that. Now, the other issue that does deal with politics. Now, on that particular day, on the 29th, there was a massive data dump, and it mostly dealt with HRC and the Democrats. And I was looking for other things relating to maybe the Epstein or Maxwell case, but it was a lot of financial stuff. So I stopped actually going through it once I realized most of this was dealing with a lot of the financial information. So one of the things that did happen, it actually came out the day before, but the day before they were actually talking about it as far as possible what Durham is going to do. And of course, the day after, Durham issues new subpoenas and probe of FBI Russia investigation, targets Clinton campaign law firm. Now, for a lot of people, that's huge. So that's another thing that we are looking at. So those 2 days beforehand, there were rumors that these things were going to happen. Subpoenas were going to go out, and they did. All right, so this is pretty big, especially in the political realm. And one of the things I did think, was this going to be something that's going to be global, or does it deal with the United States? What's actually going on in other countries? We don't get very much news. You actually have to really dig to find out what's really going on the inside of any given country. Now, of course, this came out on the 29th. It says Biden security advisor Jake Sullivan tied to alleged 2016 Clinton scheme to co-opt the CIA and FBI to tar Trump. Okay, that is pretty big. So if we're watching, okay, we got news that this person is involved in a grand jury investigation. So the whole thing with the whole Clinton and her campaign and probably some other things, this is starting to all unravel. All these subpoenas are going out. Okay, another thing that actually happened on the 28th. And this deals with the stock market, this deals with the central bank system, and dealing with the financial markets. And what happened on the 28th and the 29th, I look at this as a domino effect, what's getting ready to happen. When I get done dealing with these things that actually happened during this time period, you will see exactly what I'm referring to. All right, so what we had here, if you guys don't know, that we had 2 top U.S. Federal Reserve officials that resigned amid an outcry over personal investment activities that raised ethical concerns. All right, so basically what happened is not only these 2 people, but also Chairman Powell, they were basically, the investments that they had and the investments that they were trading were also being bought by the Federal Reserve. They were making policies that benefited their investments. And honestly, Jerome Powell should have resigned after this too as well. These 2 people resigned, but there's not enough. There's some outcry, but for some reason, Powell doesn't look like he's going to step down at this time dealing with this. And so even though all this information came out on the 22nd, you guys can look it up, the Federal Reserve trading scandal. Right? It started on the 22nd. On the 28th is when the announcement of 2 Federal Reserve officials resigned. Right, so that's pretty big because we know we are expecting changes in the banking system, but obviously this has been exposed. And during the pandemic, folks, these people were making policy based off of their own investments. So this is why a lot of people have been getting screwed, folks, and it's actually much wider than this, and I'll get more into that. All right, so the next big piece of news that came out on Tuesday, the 28th of September, Fitch downgrades Evergrand and subsidiaries to a C. So this is pretty big because if you guys don't know what's going on with Evergrand, you need to look it up. A financial institution that owes over $300 billion. And this is the reason why the stock markets were down, right? And so when you're watching all of this unfold, you find out that there's a lot of American companies, a lot of American hedge funds that have invested in Evergrand, and right now they're in the negative. And so there's a lot of people worried that this is going to be the first domino effect. And so, and a lot of people already say that China is actually crumbling right now. You see what's going on in the stock markets. They're cracking down on crypto. They're cracking down on all their own companies. And you're just kind of wondering why they're doing this. You know, they're hurting their own economy, but our economy is being hurt too as well. So, you know, what is the end game in all of what China is doing? So this is the issue that, along with what's going on with the Federal Reserve, these are pretty big things in the financial world. You guys have to remember that the Federal Reserve is basically like the Papa Central Bank for all the central banks all around the world. And of course, it manages our economy too as well. And if our economy falls for whatever reason, then everybody else is going to collapse too. You know, we're supposed to watch, right? And so, you know, being involved in the stock market in the last couple of years, there are so many companies that have so much of that wealth, 300 billion, 500 billion. They manage trillions of dollars in assets. So there's a lot of these companies that are bigger than Evergrand. But, you know, this situation is in China and it deals with real estate. If we're paying attention to what's going on and seeing what's going on a daily basis, what's going on with Evergrand, and you're seeing the protests and the people don't know what they're going to do without their money. So this is a problem that could steamroll into our economy, and it could also expose a lot of hedge funds all around the world who were involved with Evergrand. All right, so I have this article here, and well, this article itself came out September 30th, but what was going on was happening the day before. And this deals with these financial institutions in the stock market, right? And these are global institutions. And it says here that Citadel Scandals trending on Twitter as retail traders express fresh outrage over allegations around meme stock trading. So folks, but before I go any further, I've been talking about it for a long time. And what these hedge funds have been doing, has been atrocious. And even if you're not a stock trader and you have a 401k and you have a retirement, this affects you. And if you're just a casual trader, this affects you. Everything that's going on with Citadel affects the entire markets on a worldwide basis. And so if you don't know what happened with Citadel, on the 28th, there was some information that came out dealing with insider trading with GameStop and AMC. And this has been a long battle back and forth between the people that are holding on to AMC and exposing all the scandalous stuff that they've been doing. And just so you guys know that some of the things that Citadel has been doing, when you look at market manipulation, when you look at the shorting, the naked shorts, right, and creating stocks that don't exist. So if a company has 500 million stocks, what these companies are doing and what the information that has come out, that what they call naked shorting, creates more stocks. And it's an illegal practice that they've been doing. So they even say that even though that a company might only have 500 million shares, but because of the naked shorting, there's actually maybe 1.5 billion shares out there. but a lot of them are hidden because what the hedge funds have been able to figure out what to do is how to what you call fails to deliver. If you short a stock and it doesn't work out for you and you end up owing money because the stock went up instead of going down, you're supposed to close out your position. Well, what these hedge funds were doing, these positions would go into a fail to deliver. And I have seen on a daily basis, I've seen it with Zion Oil, I've seen it with other stocks in the millions of dollars where these people don't pay up. These hedge funds don't pay up, and they've basically figured out a way how to permanently keep the fails to deliver going. Right? So if they were supposed to cover on a fail to deliver a year ago, and they didn't do it within at the time that it was supposed to, and they go around the rules and regulations and hide them in what they call put trades, and they just keep rolling these over and over and over again, and then they ended up having to create more naked shorts. And Citadel has done this. When they want to bring down a company, they can create more stocks and hide the fact that they're doing it, and then short that company, and then also use market manipulation by what they call ladder attacks or massive sell-offs to make it look like people are selling their stock. Right? And that's what they were doing, and they can do that with all the extra stocks that they have, right? So that's what's one of the things that has been going on. All right, so I look at this. This is Trades. This came out, this information from this lawsuit dealing with Citadel. And it's not just Citadel, folks. It's a lot of other massive hedge fund institutions, financial institutions. And so what happened was on the 28th of January, Robinhood removed the buy button off of some stocks, right? They call them the meme stocks. And so when they did this, they knew that they were going to do this. And some of these things are highlighted in this particular lawsuit. And it deals with AMC, GME, Nokia, Bed Bath & Beyond, Naked, COS, BBBY, EXPR. And so they removed the buy button and close only position on the 28th. That means if you were just a normal stock trader, you got up, you felt like you wanted to invest in one of these, no, you couldn't do it. They stopped you from doing it. And a lot of other trading platforms, all of them, actually, I believe most of them participated in this, but not to that extreme. Like they'd only allow you to let you buy 5 a day. And that was absolutely, that's never been done in the history where they do this to this many stocks. And yet and still there's been no punishment by the SEC. But listen to this. And this is the president of Robinhood and COO, James Schwartout. And he says, and this is on the 26th, which this guy had an internal conversation with Citadel Securities. This is on the 26th. I sold my AMC today. FYI, tomorrow morning we are moving GME to 100%, so you are aware. There we go, folks. Insider trading. He sold his stocks. They knew what they were going to do, and he was giving that information to Citadel exactly what they were going to do. And that's the whole thing, that Citadel was so knee-deep into not being able to cover their short positions, more than likely went out of business or defaulted or went into bankruptcy if Robinhood didn't do this, along with the restrictions on those particular stocks. On the 29th of January, Robin began to allow only extremely limited purchase of shares or call options on the suspended stocks, and did not remove all restrictions until February 5th of 2021. Each time, and listen to this, each time a Robinhood customer trades, market makers such as Citadel Services actually buy or sell the shares and determine what price the customer gets. So they were actually not only trying to restrict people from buying, but they were already going to dictate what you were going to pay for that stock. Now that is completely illegal. Folks, you guys don't realize that if you've been following what's been going on with AMC, Wall Street Bets, Citadel, and the other financial institutions, if you don't understand what was going on, this affects everything on a worldwide basis. Right now, we didn't see what is supposed to be happening. What is supposed to be happening, we're supposed to have a fair market, and we don't have it. And so if you're in Robinhood, folks, because this stuff is coming out, if you still are holding anything in Robinhood, I would probably get out, especially if you have over $500,000 in your account. I would get out of Robinhood, most definitely. And if you have a 401k or any kind of investments or retirement account with Citadel, you need to get out of them and transfer it now, because this thing is exploding. And they're going to, the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commissions, is going to have to face this. So, and Trey's Trade says here, I can't underestimate how completely insane it is that this happened. Insiders of Robinhood traded stock before restricting trading. Insider trading to a T. Things are getting wild. Who freaking knows what else will come out next, right? And there's going to be so much more. And, trying to keep up with all that, all you have to do is go to YouTube and look up Citadel Scandal or market manipulation with Citadel. And, folks, just to kind of give you an example, for those of you who are invested in Zion Oil, this article, Yahoo is also being named as part of a co-conspirator in all this too as well. And so this is one of the reasons why I brought this article, even though there's many articles like this dealing with different stocks. This is interesting. So this is December 22nd, 2019. Hedge funds have never been this bullish on Zion Oil and Gas, right? That was when Zion Oil was actually traded on NASDAQ and not in the OTC markets. They now trade under ZNOG. And so I did a video on this. And this is what these hedge funds do. They were basically trying to put Zion Oil out of business. Okay, they didn't think that they were going to, for whatever reason, but this is how they do it. They have these articles that come out written by these people, whoever Debas Saha is, or however you say his or her name, and they put this article out. So during that time period, folks, this article was going around. I think I may have shared it. But during that time period, when you look at where Zion Oil was at with the oil and the news, it was actually down. It was actually on a downtrend. And with these different articles that are coming out, it actually went up, and then it just tanked. The stock just tanked. And that's because they were shorting the positions. I actually showed you guys the positions that they were in, and they were shorting. This article came out. See, they can buy some and make it look like they're investing, but then they can also go back and short the stock too as well, right? So you can do both. You can short and invest in a stock, and they were doing both. And the reason why they're doing both, so that they can manipulate the market with the shares that they did buy, right? And so they suckered a lot of, during that time period, I remember. And it was almost like, so they got all these people to throw a whole bunch of money in, and then they tanked the stock through market manipulation. And so that's why every investor should be upset about what's going on. And it's just amazing that it is just not really, the mainstream media, only really Charles Payne on Fox News and a few other talking heads on various mainstream. They're barely touching on this, but they're not saying what they really want to say. Charles Payne on Fox has actually been bringing to light all these things. So if you guys want to do the research, go to your YouTube, just type in market manipulation, fails to deliver, naked shorting, all dealing with Citadel, right? And you can go to the Reddit board where Wall Street's bet is, and they have been posting all this market manipulation, all this data on a daily basis since January. So the Citadel scandal is actually huge. It could bring down Citadel. And not only that, you guys already know that through the shorting that a lot of hedge funds have lost billions and billions of dollars. There's already been several hedge funds that went out of business because they did try to short GameStop and AMC. So to me, folks, when I see this, not everybody's in the stock market, so they might not see this as a big deal. I think it's something that could blow up to a global scandal, folks, in the stock market. Nobody in the world is going to be able to trust the stock market. If you guys have seen the news and seen the information that has come out, and right now we're just at the very, and for the last 8-9 months, we're now just at the very tip of the iceberg as far as how much information we see as far as the cheating and the market manipulation. And now we're seeing their internal memos. This could be a worldwide thing. bring all this information to your attention. A lot of these things I've discussed does deal with the financial issues that deal with this global economy. Now, does anything that I've shared with you rise to the level of the most important day in the history of the world? I don't know. We might not see anything, but I just wanted to show you some of the things that actually came out. So when the whole Citadel scandal came out, this was actually on the 29th, and this were all the big YouTubers that are involved in the stock market. They picked it all up, and they realize now everything that they've been saying is true. But to me, some of these things are really huge, dealing with HRC and the stock market. So I thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting my son-in-law, Joey Lovelace, GoFundMe. It's a GoFundMe, so I thank you guys for checking that out. The link is down below in the description. So you guys tell me what you think about all of this. You guys tell me, does it rise to the level? We're going to keep a watch on this, and then we'll go from there. Right, folks? So you tell me what you think. So I thank you guys for listening. God bless. And with that being said, TC out.